Hello and welcome to a very early episode of Cinema Savvy News, where me and Chris are doing a special where we are talking about all the major news from San Diego Comic Con. And unfortunately, this was delayed, but for other reasons, we're now doing it in the morning, which is quite the surprise, having bright lights in the windows and just being able to talk just after waking up, I guess we could say. But no, how are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Still in the process of waking up. I'm never a morning person, but we've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, so I'm sure it won't be too long before I get into the swing of things. But
Yeah,
well, I say a lot of things to talk about. I think we were both expecting a little bit more, um, but there's still enough there. I think definitely in terms of DC and Marvel.
yeah, I think this is arguably straight up one of the worst San Diego Comic Cons I've followed for. It's not like I was there, but normally this is like the biggest thing in the world. Everything's going mental, and you know what? I've been more interested about the pop funkers that have been released and trying to get hold of them than anything announced. Because there's nothing that we didn't expect. Everything we could have guessed straight up was going to come out or whatnot. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would say we'll do what we did. So obviously we did the D23 special, and we didn't comment on the leaked footage of stuff. Let's be outright. The only leaked thing here was the Infinity War trailer that we can talk about, and we're going to say we're not going to talk about it, but we probably will right at the end.
Mhm.
And obviously, we don't normally cover the TV stuff, but we are going to talk about, I believe, the Defenders and Stranger Things, which I'm relying on you for because I'm behind with Marvel and I haven't seen season one of Stranger Things yet. I think that's the key word yet.
Mhm.
But no, should we just kind of go for it? We're going to do what we did again. We're going to go through each day. So we're going to start off Thursday, which is odd because I always thought Comic Con started on a Friday, and there was a 20th Century Fox panel, and it's arguably one of the worst panels of Comic Con history because they didn't speak about any X-Men films, and they have three X-Men films in production. No, they've got three coming out next year,
And they've got
including
five, haven't they? They've confirmed dates for at least.
yeah, and there was nothing. They didn't talk about X-Men, even though Deadpool's shooting, even though the new film's shooting. They didn't want to do anything, and the 20th Century Fox panel just ended up being a Kingsman panel, which we obviously got a new R-rated trailer. Which, in all honesty, I mean, I love Kingsman. I'm gonna watch this, but I'm not behind the sort of marketing campaign at the minute. I don't think it's working as such, especially compared to the very first film.
Mhm. We might see diminishing returns with the sequel, but I don't know. I still really like the visual style of it, and I think now it's definitely got an audience. I think positive word of mouth really carried the first Kingsman film, and now people are familiar with the brand and the name, and I think people will go and see it. I think you'll be
Oh
surprised. I
yeah,
think it will get a big
it'll
turnout.
do well. I mean, I love the first. I mean, most people know that Matthew Vaughn's one of my favorite directors, so I'm happy seeing that. But I don't know. There's something about these trailers where it hasn't. I don't know how to describe it. I'm looking forward to some of it. It's got all the sort of spy cliches, you know, the lasso, the whip, all that kind of thing, the gadgets. But I don't know. I think maybe because in a weird way they haven't done a comic book for it, so I'm going in cold. I know that sounds very odd, and that is better to go in cold, to be fair. But you know, I really hope it is good because the first one was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
And it probably will be great. I don't know. It's just that the trailers haven't done anything for me yet, but I'm sure it
Mhm.
will once the films come out.
Yeah, me too.
And then we have a Netflix panel, well, a film panel, I guess we could say, where I think the funnest thing was when Chris Nolan trolled them all and they all started crying because he'd come out and said Netflix is pointless, their strategy for releasing films when they should be at the cinema or some stuff like that. But their panel was majorly about a new Will Smith and David Ayer film called Bright, which we've seen the trailer for just now, and it it looks like one of David Ayer's first films. I always end of watch is it's a two-man police drama, and they've got to take out there's a big gang and they've got to sort something out, and there's a big mystery. And for anyone wondering what's Bright, it's that film but with an alien as a co-pilot or as the second policeman, not a co-pilot. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, so I'd heard about this thing, and I really all I'd heard was that David Ayer and Will Smith are reuniting again after Suicide Squad to make a movie, and that's pretty much all I knew before going into this trailer. The trailer was nothing like what I expected at all. I didn't know. It reminded me of oh god, what's it like? Once Upon a Time, is that what it's called? The TV show, the whole fairy tale thing. Um, a bit of The Wolf Among Us as well for any video gamers out there, in that you've got this very serious sort of police crime drama thing going on. in the backdrop of like fantasy characters. I mean, in this, you've got orcs, you've got elves, you've got all different races and things like that. It's just a really strange idea, and I don't know what to make of it. Will Smith looks fine. He looks a bit more charismatic in this one than at least the last few films I've seen him in. Joel Edgerton just completely disappears behind the makeup. I was really surprised to see it was him when it comes up with the cast at the end. But it didn't really get me excited or anything. It seems like, well, clearly the whole theme behind the film is playing up with what's going on today with diversity and, you know, elements of racism between different races and things like that. I get what they're trying to do. It just doesn't look like an idea that's gripping me at all. I still probably will see this film at some point, but the trailer didn't get me jazzed for it or anything like that.
It's got like a really intriguing setup of the whole aliens are a part of Earth, they're in society, but they're like looked down upon. But then when they go to this thing, they've just got a terrible MacGuffin called the Magic Wand. It literally sounds like something that would have been in Suicide Squad. And then from the second they go in this on the trailer, it just completely loses it. Like, I was intrigued up until then, and then you thought, okay, so this is it. Like, this is a bit pointless. It's just going to be a normal gang police film, but this time with aliens and a little bit of sci-fi rather than anything else. And yeah, Will Smith does look a bit more charismatic. He kind of had a vibe of him like iRobot from this trailer, and it's certainly probably better than Suicide Squad. But I'm intrigued to see how this does. I mean, obviously Netflix's strategies, they released them on their web on Netflix, obviously, and it is coming out a week after The Last Jedi.
Not smart, is it?
So yeah, and I think it might be the same weekend as Jumanji maybe as well. So it's not the best of times to be releasing a film, but you know, this definitely isn't going to win them Oscars. So at least it's not Oscar bait.
Well, it's a completely different platform, isn't it? So I don't really know. I mean, people still might check it out around Christmas, but let's be honest, people are probably going to be more at the cinema than watching Netflix around the Christmas period. So sticking with Netflix, we're moving to Friday now. We need to talk about the Defenders trailer and Stranger Things. I'll kick off with Defenders. So I still haven't watched Iron Fist yet. I got 6 episodes into it, and I've kind of dropped off the bandwagon. I need to get back to it, especially before this comes out. Again, very underwhelming trailer. I didn't mind the first trailer that came out for it. They used that Nirvana song in it. They kind of did like a remix of it. I thought it worked for the style and the mood of it. But this one, you kind of see more of the team dynamic and the dialogue between them in the exchange and dialogue, everything like that. And they just don't seem to click with me. And I don't know if it's like you look at the Marvel films and they were all fine in Avengers, but now you can tell that they've all become friends and there's a really close chemistry between all the actors now. So maybe it's because it's the first time they've all been together for the most part. But something just didn't click. The action really didn't thrill me. We get another corridor fight scene, but the choreography didn't look anything too special. Maybe they're saving a lot for the actual series. We get a bit more of Sigourney Weaver in this trailer. We get a bit more of Elektra. But there's just something like they try and throw the humor in there, and it feels like Justice League humor, which we'll get onto later. It's just really simplified, and it didn't do anything for me. And I want to, because Daredevil's my favorite Marvel character of all time. I've loved, for the most part, what they've done with these Netflix shows, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. But because this is like the equivalent of the Avengers for the Netflix realm, where they've been building to this for years, I was expecting something to blow me away, and I just didn't get that.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the trailer for it, but off a whole, I mean, when you think about it, you know, the Avengers had, 5 films before it came out? We've actually had 65 hours of TV for the Defenders, which is, I mean, I remember the day they announced it. They announced Marvel is going to do a Netflix series with these characters to build up to this. It's going to be an adult TV series. I think they were adamant with that. So I am currently at the very beginning of Luke Cage because I was big on Daredevil. I love Jessica Jones. I've been late. I need to basically, like most people, catch up for when Defenders comes out. I think it's next week now, so I've got to get a hurry on.
Yeah, me too.
But off the first trailer, I haven't seen the new one, but reviews right now, and it is mixed. But I'm hoping it's good because you know it's good planning. I mean, they probably planned the Defenders better than DC have planned the Justice League, which says everything you need to know about the current state of both companies. But it is nice still to get the sort of the adult TV and of Marvel as well, where you know, on the films until maybe next year that they're not killing off anyone. They don't want to pull the trigger on anything like that. Whereas this, they're just outright having like sons have their parents stabbed 100 times or whatever it was in front of your eyes on TV. So I'm excited to see what they do with it, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And Stranger Things Season 2 is the only other Netflix news I need to talk about. And this is going to actually be really difficult to talk about considering you haven't seen it and I don't want to give anything away. So you're going fresh to that. This one, they play Thriller during the trailer. And it's great because it's still one of my favorite things with Stranger Things is that Tate watched it before me and he said, Chris, if you like 80s things, you've got to watch this series. I saw it all around the internet, and actually the font really reminded me at the time of Doctor Strange, so I thought it was some kind of companion piece to Doctor Strange. Shows how out of the loop I was on that. It's in keeping with those 80s references. We get a lot more in this trailer. We get ones to Ghostbusters. All like the main cast of kids are dressed up as Ghostbusters with the proton packs. There's like references to the Lost Boys in there as well, which is really cool, and it's set at Halloween. Now that's really intriguing me, not just because I love Halloween as a holiday, but with where the story's progressing and having Halloween as the setting's backdrop for this new monster that's on the scene. I think that could be really cool. We don't really get much insight into the side characters. We get a little bit of insight into the main character and his fate at the end of series 1, and how that's going to progress into series 2. I thought it was a fantastically put together trailer. You had like a remixed version of Michael Jackson's Thriller, which just completed it all. Yeah, that's really all I can talk about without going into spoilers for it.
And I think it's out in October, the film.
Out October
TV series.
9th, I think it's out. So that'll be a good way to celebrate Halloween this year.
Yeah, I will get around to it. I do want to watch it, but it's one of them where when it come out, you know, when the hype is with everything, and sometimes it can put you off. You want it to cool down before you can go into it. I don't know if that sounds weird, but
yeah,
now it's kind of died off. I can go into it for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But should we start going for the big ones? Because Saturday, we'll stay outright. Nothing happened on Sunday. Nothing at all. A bit like D23. Everything happened on Saturday. So I guess this is where the big stuff. We open up with a Warner Brothers panel, and straight away, Ready Player One trailer.
Yeah.
I invested the reaction, but this is, I mean, I haven't read the book. I've had the book, but I've never got around to reading it, and I've only heard good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of them so-called unfilmable books. Who was going to be the one to take it on? And then you had Spielberg attach himself to the project. You've had this, that, and this is one of the things where I'd say this was probably the second best trailer of Comic-Con. Well, official, not leaked trailers of Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
But this looks like awesome. I mean, it plays as a trailer, but you get nothing from the plot, which is great because, I mean, they've got like Ben Mendelsohn in this film as a villain, a director of a company. Sounds familiar, right? And, you know, but I was just so hooked, like not hooked on it, but the Easter eggs in this were like amazing. Anything with Warner Bros. Property was put in this trailer, essentially. Even like, I don't know really how to describe it. It looks awesome, and because Spielberg is attached to it, I know deep down it's probably going to be absolutely fantastic. I think it's his first sci-fi film since War of the Worlds.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Ben Mendelsohn's going to deploy the garrison in this movie at some point.
It could be all the bikers. You never know.
Yes. So I have done a reaction for this. It's edited. It's ready to go up after this video. So I don't want to go too in depth into it. But to your point where you said that this doesn't give anything away about plot, I was fine with that too, because this trailer, it almost serves as a teaser trailer, just sort of getting you on board with what this world is, what it's going to look like visually, and the whole concept of the references that are going to be throughout. Tate had a problem with it because he says, as spectacle, it's great. As a trailer, it tells you nothing about the plot. But I just chalked that up to it being the first trailer, is trying to get people on board with this idea. I'm a sucker for references in things. It's one of the reasons that I love Stranger Things so much. Talk about that show again. And boy, are there loads of references, loads that I didn't pick up. I watched a video off IGN yesterday that did a breakdown of all the Easter eggs that they noticed, and there's so many more that I didn't notice, including like Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, Gandalf's in there somewhere apparently. It was Akira. The main ones, Akira, yeah, it was the main ones that got me though. Seeing the Iron Giant again, I mean, he's apparently has a major role in the film. If they get Vin Diesel back to do the voice, that would be incredible. Yeah, like Freddy Krueger, and just seeing the DeLorean again. One thing I did say was that perhaps a little bit too much of an over-reliance on CGI, but then when you think about it, maybe that's part of it, because it's like this virtual reality video game like world, so the CGI could fit into that. And clearly Spielberg has a love for CGI now after doing the BFG. I'm sure he's used some of the same tech that was in that film with this one. It's got my interest, and I haven't really heard much about the book. I know the rough idea of it, but like someone told me that Rivendell's in there from Lord of the Rings, for example. Like someone creates a Rivendell city. So I don't know how he went about getting the rights to all these things, because it's not like Warner Brothers owns all of these properties, but they've clearly done their research and they've clearly paid a lot of money to get these characters.
I think, I mean, when this got announced, before the book came out, there was a massive bidding war between. I mean, so very rarely you get this before books come out, so you know that there's going to be a lot of hype on them. And Ready Player One's one of them. But I feel that Warner Bros. They probably just tricked all their properties into it. Like, you know, they've put a bit of DC, they've put Lord of the Rings, That's the Future.
Oh, I'm forgetting Warner Brothers do own Lord of the Rings, now, don't they, as of The Hobbit. Yeah, I thought it was just New Line Cinema. You're right.
It's because they bought New Line, didn't they? I think in the 2000s. But I want to see what they do, because it played as a teaser, and you know there is a lot of CGI, and it kind of reminded me of Tron. Very different but similar in terms of you're in a video game world. Tron is nothing will compete with Tron aesthetically, stuff like that. But I get what Spielberg's doing, and I mean at the end of the day, if you had a director that isn't Steven Spielberg, because there's so many fantastic directors, but if you just had like a nameless one where okay he's making the studio's film, like this is you question it less because it's Spielberg, because you know deep down it's going to probably be good. Like he doesn't really make bad films. I struggle to think of bad Spielberg films. I know some people probably have one or two that don't like.
One. I can definitely think of one.
Yes, that one. That one goes without question. The less thought about it, the better, which is why. But I mean, he's got 2 films coming out in the space of 3 months. One's going to be at Oscars, the other is going to be this. I mean, originally I think had the December slot, and then because of Star Wars, they moved it. And you can kind of see why it had that December. But if you go back to Spielberg as well, it's like the young teen protagonist, and it had me thinking that his original pitch of Transformers that you told me this was like a young boy in his car, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And whereas this, it's the young boy in his VR headset. So I'm excited to see what happens with this. When we get a plot trailer that'll help it, I might read the book when the film comes out, or I'll do it the other way around, wait for the film, because sometimes it's nice to go in not knowing anything. But I thought this was the second best trailer of Comic-Con. I wouldn't say it blew me away, but I didn't expect it to be like that.
Yeah, there was an international trailer that came out as well, which I think was like 30 seconds longer, which I haven't watched yet. So I don't know if that's more of a story one, or if it's sort of in keeping with what the main trailer's like. But as I say, I haven't watched that, so I don't really know. There was some Blade Runner news. Apparently, some clips were shown. A hologram of Jared Leto. I have no opinion on that at all. And apparently the cast came out as well. And I'm guessing this is where, because you sent me a clip on our chat on Facebook of a brilliant Harrison Ford moment, if you want to go into that.
Yeah, so the cast come out, not Gosling. Basically, the Jared Leto thing was really odd. I was just kind of following the panel on Twitter, and so there's a hologram of Jared Leto, and someone took a picture, and they have the in-character Jared Leto hologram being projected on the stage. I'm guessing he probably did some kind of Prometheus marketing thing where he did a paragraph talk or some nonsense, but because it's Jared Leto, it makes it so much funnier. Yeah, so the cast come out, and I'm assuming it was a Q&A with fans, which I think they did for Star Wars. And the ballsiest guy of Comic-Con, I think we could say. He had the once in the opportunity lifetime of asking a question to Harrison Ford. And I think I don't want to get it wrong, but did he say, have you made it your life's work to reboot every single franchise you've ever been in?
Yeah.
And everyone was pissing themselves, even like Ryan Gosling and the cast. And, you know, this is Harrison Ford. This is a guy that hates the world. And he just gets up angry as hell. And he's there like, you should, what did he say? You bet your ass that I am.
Yeah.
And then they're all like cheering. But, you know, in real life, like as soon as that convention finished, like he found him at the back and just beat the shit into him. Like, I don't know. It was just a great moment. It was so unexpected, but that's the thing. Harrison Ford, like 3-4 years ago, he wouldn't have been there for a start.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the fact in the last couple of years how much more with it he's been. It's probably happy that he's probably killing off all of his characters. I guess that helps. But I absolutely love him in his in his interviews and stuff these days. He gets funnier as he gets older.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I remember him in interviews and he still does have moments like that where he's the very mumbly, somber-looking kind of guy, and it's completely night and day when you see what he's like in his films, which just shows what a great actor he is. But it is nice to see him have a bit of humour now, have a bit of fun with it. But you're probably right. Yeah, he did get a bit intense towards the end of that interview, which was cool. Shall we go on to the big news then? Well, one of the biggest news, DC. So the Justice League trailer rolled out, official trailer 3, as well as a poster. So if we talk about the poster first, we'll get into the trailer afterwards. I like the poster. I like the artwork of the poster because it's a tribute to a very famous piece of artwork of the Justice League. So I like how they did that. It has the kind of I don't know if it was like done with paint or pencil sketch, whatever it happened to be, but it's got that filter over it, which keeps it the same visual style. The thing that was kind of funny is that they have each of the individual superheroes' logos as part of the words, and you can clearly tell that the team were like, shit, we don't have one for E. Let's just flip the Batman logo the opposite way around to get an E. Apart from that, made me laugh, but apart from that, the artwork itself, I thought it was a really decent poster. But let's be honest, this isn't going to be the main theatrical poster for this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is famous DC artwork, and when it first released, I was like, "This, I kind of dig it. Like, it's not a bad poster. It's not good, but as someone that knows comic books and is familiar, and I wouldn't say I'm familiar with it, but it's iconic. It's an iconic sort of the style. I forgot it's Alex. I forgot the guy, the artist that originally did it, but it's a very cool throwback to people that know DC Comics. To people that don't, you are expecting them to open their mouths and go into a chorus of Bohemian Rhapsody. Because it's the whole dark background with their faces just coming into play, and you can literally just, I'm expecting someone to like go online and just move the mouths and do that thing and play the trailer with them or something, but it's a cool poster. You're thinking of how long they spent getting the E. I'm thinking how long did they spend coming up with words to get every logo in to fit into a line. But I did like it, and they did a banner as well, which says, you know, the same thing, just you just see more of their bodies basically. But yeah, it's, again, they're not showing Superman off. We'll get to have the trailer, but it's it's a good poster, but it's not going to be a good film, is it?
No. Which brings us to the trailer. So again, a reaction video is ready to go. Goes up straight after this. I did say in my reaction that I'm still hoping for this film to be good. Like, I don't want to be overly believe it or not, DC fanboys, I don't want to be overly negative with this film. However, with what's been going on with the extensive reshoots, which we'll talk about in a minute, I know that Affleck's confirmed to be staying now, but the whole hullabaloo that came out with that when he said he was leaving, it really didn't bode well for me with this film. The shots look great. That's one thing I can always say about Snyder's films. There's some great iconic shots in this of Batman specifically. They've gone in and done some color correction on the whole ending battle now, so it takes place in a bright red post-apocalyptic sky. To see Batman against that sky, it reminded me of the opening intro of Batman the Animated Series, where in that show, because it was stylized to be like that, there was a lot of red sky in that. But it just looks so standard, doesn't it? Let's be honest, it's going to be like another Avengers Age of Ultron. You have this big bad that shows up, you have this whole wave of faceless henchmen that they're all going to fight for like the last hour of the film. And then they throw a joke in there about Batman disappearing, because that's not like the fourth time that we've had that joke in Batman films or DC films. I thought it was a fine trailer. It was okay put together, but it hasn't got me hyped or anything like that. Still, I still have all the reservations that I've always had for it.
Yeah, I think that sums up my opinion on it. Why have they when they announced that? Well, I didn't announce it, did they? When they started the DCEU, well, it wasn't even a DCEU back then. When they rebooted Superman, and it turned into becoming the first one little Easter egg of Wayne Enterprises has turned into the cinematic universe of shambles. And
I don't understand why they fucked it up so much. I really don't. They've got all the history there. They've got all the comics. Just recreate the fucking comics. That's all you need to do. It's not difficult.
They have a better comic book history, better stories, and even their film history's better than Marvel. Of this overall scheme, I guess. Well, it has the best three in the Dark Knight trilogy, but that's for a debate. But it just looks awful, and I really want to like this film. I mean, I like Ezra Miller. He seems like a cool guy. I fucking love Jason Momoa. He's an absolute animal. And I think Aquaman does look the best thing about this film. And the trailer just looks awful. And we're in 2017. We have a red sky, which is fine. But it just looks so bad, the CGI and the whole film. And then we get in the extensive reshoots which happen now. And this is just going to... The Justice League should be something that people are hyping up for. Infinity War comes out in a year. Well, just under. And we are going mental for it. And people are. And I would be going mental for it. Give me one on a plate, Justice League or Infinity War. You're going to pick Infinity War. This looks so bad. And I don't want it to be, but it is. And my issue with this is that, you know, obviously everything's happened with Zack Snyder. You know, obviously a big creative. They reduced it from part 2 to part 1 with everything happened at home of his personal life. Obviously left the project. He brought in Joss Whedon, which is fine. I completely... Obviously, he needs to leave the project for family. Then yes, you do that. That's more important than the film. But then to come in and do extensive reshoots to change a lot about what this film's going to be, you shouldn't be doing that. You should at least kind of finish the... I know it's the whole, yes, he's coming in, he shouldn't have to do what Zack Snyder wanted him to do, but if you're 6 months off the deadline and you're bringing in a director to do it, at least with Rogue One, which I can compare it to now, the extensive reshoots, you know, I don't think Gareth Edwards was on set every day for the reshoot, but his vision was intact and they kept what he was doing and he worked well. They didn't bring in a second director, a bit like the Han Solo film, where very different situations with them bringing in though, but that film's going to change massively now. But at least it's not 6 months notice. They've got just under a year for it. But with this, it just looks awful. And when these Ben Affleck leaving rumors were coming through, it was kind of like they reckon it was Warner Bros. Pushing for him to leave. And he's the best thing about this universe right now. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he said at Comic-Con, I'm staying. But he also said he was directing Batman 2 weeks before he left directing Batman. And I know he's staying because he's got one more film in his contract at least to do. But I want this one to be good, but the CGI looks awful. Not just the villains, the CGI-less army, Cyborg looks like one of the worst renders I've ever seen. For a film that's probably got a budget of 250 mil. This is absolutely embarrassing. And I think this film's going to struggle to make like $1 billion. Yes, they've got Wonder Woman, and the focus is going to go on her, which is great because Wonder Woman was a good film. But it's the Wonder Woman film, like I said in our review, that didn't really have to tie into anything, and they were pretty free to do what they wanted to do with that. Whereas this is going to be very different.
Yeah, and I think it'll be another Suicide Squad type thing. I know that was more the editing than the actual... Although that film did have reshoots, I think, but I think that was more in the editing. But you're right, if they've changed up the vision this much, and I don't know how much of it is, because I know when a new director comes on board, if they do want to go for a directing credit, I know they have to have like ownership of so much of the film. Like they have to put so much new material into it to guarantee that credit. I can't remember what the exact percentage is. So maybe that's a part of it as well. I don't know. I really want this film to be good, but if it's going through all these extensive reshoots as we speak, really close up to time, I know they've spent millions on these things as well. These aren't just little things. This sounds like big, massive plot changes. And another thing, but this is just me, I'm sure some people won't have a problem with this. The fact that you're doing your Justice League movie, and I know Superman's going to be in there, but to not have him in there for most of it, that's unimaginable to me. He's the main guy. It'd be like doing your Avengers film and not having, I don't know, Iron Man or Captain America show up until the last third of the movie. And let's face it, it will be the last third, because by the look on Alfred's face, it seems like they're at a point where all hope is lost, all the heroes are almost dying in battle, and then Superman's going to come back and save the day or do whatever he's going to do. That's just narratively a problem to me. Superman should be there from the off. He should be the leader of the team right from his opening movie. But that's just me narratively. The trailer itself, it's fine, but it hasn't got me excited.
No, and again, just like a final thing with this, with DC, like I said, they got the best stories. Yep. They did Death of Superman in his second outing before you had a Justice League film.
Yeah.
It's at least, yes, Marvel aren't killing people, but at least they didn't kill Iron Man before the first Avengers film came out, or Captain America. It would have been like doing that. It's just ludicrous.
And one thing that Tate brought up in the reaction as well is that I think it does give you a timestamp as to where this takes place after the events of Batman v Superman, and I think it's relatively close to that day. Tate had a problem that Superman's death, we knew he was coming back anyway, but his death hasn't had enough time to stick with the people. I guess they're doing the whole Jesus thing. I mentioned in that reaction that apparently Jesus rose after the third day, so maybe Superman will do the same thing. I don't know.
What I find interesting, very, very different, but when I was watching Dunkirk on, well, both shows, we had not this trailer, but the first trailer, and you'd have probably the same at the IMAX. And the second time I was watching my mum and dad, my mum turned to me and goes, "Is that Marvel?" And I was like, "No." She goes, "It doesn't look very good." And I was there like, it's someone that, I mean, yeah, okay, she's different. She doesn't go to cinema much, but she likes her Marvel films, and she'll go to cinema for things. But for her to turn around and say this doesn't look any good, and she didn't ever like talk about films like that, and then it looks, the CG looks awful in this film. Shouldn't be awful, but it looks absolutely terrible, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame that Justice going to die on its first outing. At least Age of Ultron was a downer, but we get the up with Infinity War. But
I'm not like head of Warner Brothers. I can't control what they do.
They don't know what they're doing either. Don't worry.
If this fails, I don't know what's in motion already for the rest of this universe. If people don't care about it, like, will they go back to standalone films? Will they? It seems like they're going to continue with their slate, which I guess we can go into now because their slate was confirmed. I don't think dates were for most of them, but we at least have some titles out there now.
Yeah, we have Aquaman, which obviously is coming out next December. Which is going to be hilarious if they do move the Han Solo film to destroy it. We've got Shazam, that's not starring The Rock as Black Adam, so he's losing his iconic villain, because I'm guessing they'll just do a Black Adam film as well sometime in the future. Yeah. Don't know. But that I read was being start filming early next year, so you can assume that's going to come after the Aquaman release. Then we have Suicide Squad 2. Then we've got The Batman, which I am looking forward to. It's Matt Reeves, so that should be good. Should being the key word. Could it be the last outing of Ben Affleck? You don't know, but just see Dark, and also couldn't care less. Batgirl, couldn't care less. Green Lantern, I'm half intrigued to see who they pick and what they do. Flashpoint, why on earth they're doing Flashpoint before? I mean, Flashpoint's to be something big enough to carry not just a Flash film, but like a Justice League type thing. Sort of like the Civil War was a Captain America film, but it was also an Avengers film because it had the whole team there. That's what Flashpoint should be like. Then you got Wonder Woman 2, which as of last night got given a release date at the end of 2019, in December, I think, as well.
So the only two that I'm really looking forward to on this list, The Batman and Wonder Woman 2. And again, for the most part, Wonder Woman, because for all intents and purposes, apart from a very short opening scene, very short closing scene, that was a standalone movie. And I thought it was great. It's definitely still one of my favorite films from this year. Going through the other ones, Aquaman, I'm looking forward to that because I believe that James Wan's still directing that, isn't he? Or did he drop out of that?
No, James Wan's directing. So they showed some clips from the film. I think they're filming it. They've either wrapped or they're still filming it now, but James Wan's doing it, and I'm excited for that. I mean, I like Jason Momoa, and James Wan's got a good history, so yeah, I really hope that's good, and I'm intrigued to see how, you have a film that's basically going to be set in water for probably most of it, because I think there's some behind-the-scenes footage showed ages ago of they've almost got like rigs moving them about and stuff like that, which looks really cool. So if it comes out well, then I think that's going to be absolutely awesome to see. But,
Shazam for me he's very much like a Superman character, and I know that technically Shazam wasn't even a DC character. It was a character that came out long before that, like in the old times of old comic book characters you just get like in newspapers and things like that. He was owned by a different company and then DC eventually bought him. But the fact that Black Adam isn't going to be a part of this thing, I mean, it seems like the in thing to do now to have your villain be in a separate movie like they're doing with Venom, and I'm sure that's going to be a new trend and continue with other villain films.
I think Doctor Doom, there's been a rumor of a Doctor Doom film, which would be absolutely awful.
But yeah, Shazam's a character that I don't know much about other than the fact that he's like a kid, and if he shouts Shazam, then he turns into the big hulking superhero that he is. It's fine, but the fact that you don't have his main villain in there is a problem, especially because Most people don't know who Shazam is. And if you throw Dwayne The Rock Johnson in there, that's a guaranteed box office draw. I don't know why they're not taking that. Suicide Squad 2, maybe it's going to be a consistent tone with the first one now. Like, it has to be. If they go back to dark and serious how the original version was meant to be, it won't mesh, and you've lost your entire fan base for people that are fans of that. So it'll be another glorified music video. Expect another soundtrack out. The Batman, looking forward to. Matt Reeves, just give me a standalone Batman film. Justice League Dark, really don't have an opinion on that. Batgirl, again, I don't know if Batgirl should have her own movie. Like, I guess you could eventually, but their slate just doesn't make sense with the progression. If you look at Marvels, each one that's bought out is very carefully thought out. There's a plan there. They'll bring an Ant-Man film out in phase 2 and you'll be like, why is that there? It doesn't mesh. But then as soon as you get to Civil War, you go, oh, okay, I can see what they're doing here. This just doesn't make sense to me. Green Lantern Corps, I might look forward to that. It depends if they go with the right tone for this one. The Flashpoint, I think Flashpoint's the wrong story to go for your opening Flash movie, but then again, this is way down the line in their roster, so who knows? And Wonder Woman 2, again, as I said, is one of the only ones that I'm looking forward to. So it's a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, it's such a shame this gap of DC, and yes, all the DC trolls and fanboys are going to start crying because people will say bad word, and I've seen some of them be ludicrous since Saturday. If anyone says a bad word about the Justice League trailer, then they just start slagging off Marvel. Which, again, like, you don't need to have a fanboy war between them both. Like, yes, you do get some.
I like both.
Yeah,
I like both. I do. Believe it or not, I know that some people will think I don't. I do like both. But
and the problem is that you get Marvel fanboys, rightfully so, and they can be annoying, but you know, they don't cry if someone says a bad word, and it's all petty kids online and stuff. But the whole DC v Marvel trend, I'm just sick of it. It's boring, and you just got to sit back and think. The way I've always said it, Marvel has better films. DC has better TV shows. Marvel has, well, DC's got better games. DC's got better characters. They've had the best films. But again, it's a pointless debate these days, and you can't compare these film franchises because one of them is arguably going to be the most, well, it's already the most successful franchise of all time. It's going to be probably one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time when they're done with Infinity War. It's a I wouldn't say 10-year project, but the concept of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, I mean, is this a good time to talk about Marvel?
Yeah, let's go into it. Yeah, I've said everything I can on DC.
Saturday night, the Marvel panel. I mean, DC was a part of Warner Brothers, whereas Marvel had their own panel because they're that big. And they kind of opened it with a Thor Ragnarok trailer and a new poster. The poster I love. There's just something. There's something about it which just looks so different. There's a brilliant version online where I think they call it the Jeff Goldblum edition, where it's like Thor Ragnarok, and they've replaced everyone with his head, but it's a different poster. It looks very Guardians-y, I guess you could say. And I know, and people are criticizing that comparison, but you know what? Thor is a funny character. Of the Avengers films, he's the comic relief of the Avengers guys, and I don't mind having comedy in the Thor film. I'd much rather it was lighthearted and funny rather than another boring, soul-sucking, they're going to take over the world type film, whereas with this, it looks like you're going to get a little bit of fun. At least it will be serious, don't get me wrong, but Taika Waititi is a very good director. He's a very funny guy, I think that's worth saying, and his tone has not been lost on the Marvel films. It looks like he's made one of his films as much as it's been a Marvel film. One thing I will say, the poster, it's spoiled. Well, does it? I think it does spoil Anthony Hopkins coming back because I thought he wasn't going to be back for this. And I think that's what a lot of people thought. He hadn't been mentioned in filming or anything like that, but he's in the poster. So I guess at least they're going to tie up that story arc. But then we got the trailer, which just looks awesome.
In all honesty, it was probably my favorite trailer out of Comic-Con.
Yeah, no, it was. I thought that was exactly as well.
Yeah, just for the new stuff it showed, for the pace of it, for the tone, everything like that. The poster I absolutely love. It's one of the most colourful and vibrant posters I've seen in a long time. And it doesn't really fall into that trap of it just being a mindless character collage, like looking at a certain Spider-Man movie that came out this year. This looks like it's being careful, and all the characters are on there, for example, but I like how it's framed. I love the colours of it. The trailer itself, again, a reaction will be going up right after this. I absolutely loved everything about it. It's got me questioning loads, like that big fiery Balrog looking thing at the end of the trailer. That wowed me. Kate Blanchett looks like she's having the time of her life in this role. Unfortunately, because the leaked footage of Infinity War, we kind of know how this movie is going to ultimately end, where all the characters are going to wind up. So we've talked about that before with like the whole Marvel thing where they'll announce so many films afterwards, so you can't really get emotionally invested in what's going on. So we know that all the characters are going to make it out alive in this one, for example. But with that being said, the film, even like cinematically, how it looks, some of the shots in there look leaps and bounds above any of the other Marvel films, really, especially the Thor films. I can understand some people having a problem with the tone if they followed the other Thor films. Even if you look at the posters, Thor 1 and Thor 2, and then you go to this one, it's completely different. But I think that's a lot to do with the director. Haven't seen any of his work before, but I do want to watch a couple of his movies before seeing Thor to see if he has any of his style in this new film. It's at this stage, for the rest of the films coming out this year, it's probably one of my most anticipated films. It might be like all the other Marvel movies where it'll probably be a one and done, but it looks like that one time that I go and see it will be an absolute blast.
Yeah, it's going to be different. And I think this is going to be the Marvel film that has the most implications for Infinity War. I know that we have Black Panther out in February before the Infinity War, I guess, starts. But, I mean, going off, we'll talk about very briefly at the leaked trailer, you know, we do kind of know. I mean, I won't say it in case it spoils for some, but we know what's going to happen to Thor. We know who else is going to be surviving this film. I'm not going to say the names just in case it spoils it and you don't know already, which is the only downside of the Infinity War trailer. But I can't wait to see this. It just looks so. It looks like Guardians, but not with the Guardians team, other people, and I like that. And you know, Thor and Hulk have some great moments in their Avenger films together. So seeing how they're going to be together, and you know, would you get the whole voiceover, but also we get to see Matt Ruffalo, so we know that Thor's not just as Hulk. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I keep forgetting that they didn't reveal: Doctor Strange is in this film.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm very excited to see how he fits into it. Could just be one scene at the beginning, could be maybe a couple of scenes, but I really did enjoy Doctor Strange, and I want to see how it works with them. And I was only reminded because the director put a picture on Twitter of him and Benedict. He was drilling into him, and he goes just putting batteries in the machine or some. I think it was meant to be some like Benedict Cumberbatch joke, but Thor looked great.
The last thing I'll say on it, and I don't know if you picked up on it, the CGI on the Hulk looks slightly different. The motion capture, it looks a lot more like Ruffalo now, and the head seems to have been shrunk down slightly. I don't know if that's going to be final effects work, but it definitely looks like they've changed him from his appearance in the last couple of Avengers movies.
Maybe they've starved him fighting in the arena.
Oh, yeah. No, I never thought.
I'm joking. That sounds like a DC fan trying to defend something. Theories everywhere. But yeah, he and then when he was talking, it just felt weird. But yeah. I guess that's probably
the most we've ever heard the Hulk talk in one sitting. Like an actual sentence. Yeah, let's do it.
Then we got Black Panther, which they showed a lot of clips. I did read summaries of them because I'm looking forward to it so much. The whole cast were there. Apparently, it's the first time the cast has seen any footage of the film. And, you know, they had some of the villain stuff, some of the plot points. I will say they apparently one of the clips had Andy Serkis, one of the final clips they showed. And I just cannot wait to see. Not only has he got the greatest accent in the world, the South African one, but it's Andy Serkis as a human as well, which is always nice to see. So I'm excited to see that. But we did get a new poster. Compared to the first one, which is one of the worst first shot posters I've seen in a long time, this one looks stunning. And I really hope this is the one that's on all the cinema posters when the film's coming out, because it just looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's kind of striking, that post that you get on a lot of posters, but it's framed differently. It's the whole, you know, back to someone looking over the shoulder thing. But I love how it's I love the Panther statue that he's standing on in the establishing shot. I think that looks really good. You've got the whole like Lion King tagline on it, "Long live the King." My only frame, I didn't read a summary of what was shown at Comic-Con. My only frame of reference is the first trailer that came out. I know nothing about Black Panther really. Someone did drop me a comment, so I know a little bit about it. But visually, it looks, and this is like Marvel's going through like this really colorful hype at the minute, just like really larger than life worlds. What with Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Black Panther, And I'm looking forward to it too, for all the reasons you said. Andy Serkis is one of my favorite actors out there, so to see him in another live action role will be cool. I know he's had ties with Marvel before with the Hulk, with the whole motion capture thing, but it was nice to get him in the movie. Definitely in a bigger role in this one, I think, than he has been previously in films.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him more. Should we go on to Ant-Man?
Yeah, let's do it.
So there's another Ant-Man film coming out because there's so many bloody Marvel films coming out you don't know anymore. And I think this is coming out between Infinity War films.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously it's actually Ant-Man and the Wasp. Sorry to offend the feminists out there for not including the full name. Michelle Pfeiffer, this is maybe is this one of the biggest bits of news because there's been so little actual real news.
Definitely casting, yeah.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer's been added to the cast as the mum of, I always forget her name. Is she called Hope? The one from the first film?
Yes. Oh, God.
Hope Van Dyne. I don't know if that's her actress or character name, but obviously the backstory in the first film, the mom that got lost, clearly by casting Michelle Pfeiffer, who is older now, that clearly means that she's coming back to a degree, but I'm excited to see. I mean, obviously she was Catwoman, so it's that nice throwback seeing her in something new. Is always a nice little surprise, but they're filming that now, and they did a kind of poster, I guess you could say, where it looked more like new art. It was a poster, but not without the actual like Ant-Man words and stuff like that. So it looked nice, but I think that's going to be like the end. It's like after Age of Ultron, you had Ant-Man, which was like the little sweet pudding thing, wasn't it? Like I don't know, that's a terrible name, but it's like this. You're going to have Infinity War, then a couple of months later, you're going to get like a Paul Rudd comedy. And what I love is that Paul Rudd has triggered a lot of cinephiles because, as you know, he's a very funny guy. During his panel, he came out and he said, I think Ant-Man's the godfather of all comic book films. And there's just loads of people that have been outraged, and I don't think they've realised that he's taken the mick.
Yeah.
But they're so triggered by it, it just makes it so much funnier. So we got Ant-Man stuff, and then what I forgot to put in the schedule, there was, I always forget the name, Captain Marvel. They released some concept art to people in the Hall H. It's probably leaked online, so I'm going to find it, but they confirmed that it's going to be set in the 1990s. Not Nicolas Cage. Why do I always get them mixed up? Nicolas Fury?
Oh, Nick Fury. Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, there we go. I always forget.
I'd love to see Nicolas Cage as Nick Fury, but I'm afraid he's not Ghost Rider anymore, is he? They rebooted.
No, he's a free agent. He could be something.
Yeah.
He could be Thanos. He'd have been amazing as the Mad Titan.
He would.
They've confirmed that obviously Sam Jackson's going to be in it. He's going to have two eyes. I'm more intrigued by how they're going to make Samuel L. Jackson look like he's back in the 90s. Are they going to CGI him for a whole film, or is it just going to be good makeup? I don't know, but yeah. And they confirmed the Skrulls are going to be in it. In all honesty, I don't really care about Captain Marvel. Some people love her, but I think she's a very boring character. And seeing it set in the 90s, it is going to be nice seeing it standalone, but I just don't see the point.
I don't know much about the Captain Marvel character, so I can't really offer much comment on that. I will say, though, and we talked about this before we hit record, that the whole Skrulls thing, I thought that was tied to Fantastic Four heavily. I thought they were Fantastic Four characters. I don't know if it was one of those exchanges, like I know a while back that Marvel got back Ghost Rider and Daredevil and a few other characters as well, so maybe the Skrulls were part of that. I don't really know. But going back to Ant-Man, Michelle Pfeiffer casting, she's a phenomenal actress. Absolutely love her. The concept art as well that came out, I really like the artwork on that. We get a bit of a close-up shot of what the costume's going to look like. We got the tease at the end of Ant-Man. Evangeline Lilly's a fantastic actress as well. Loved her in Lost, and she can do all the actiony stuff. As much as I disliked her character in the Hobbit films, like Tariel, she can do the action stuff when she's required. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Ant-Man. I did like Ant-Man. It was a very standard Marvel movie. I think everyone will say that, but I had fun with it. And it was nice seeing a new superhero on screen for the first time that we hadn't before.
Yeah, and considering everything that happened with Edgar Wright before it as well, I think that was the one where everyone thought, okay, Marvel's done. This is going to be their, like their bad film. But it was really decent, I thought. And yeah, I want to see the new Ant-Man film. It'll be nice.
Yeah, and we talk about our parents sort of like being out of the loop with Marvel movies and stuff like, or superhero movies. I did go through all the Marvel movies with my parents, and Ant-Man was my parents' favorite one. They said
Yeah,
that
Mum and Dad loved it.
They loved it. They loved the comedy in there. They loved the character, and I think they just loved the superpower of it as well. So it does have an audience out there.
Yeah, and then I guess if we
one.
can vaguely talk about something unofficial, there was an Infinity War trailer extended from D23. We're not going to lie, we've both seen it. I guess I can say that it looks phenomenal. It's going to be something else seeing that. One or two things I didn't like about it, but I'm not going to go into spoilers because obviously it's clearly going to be big parts of the film. Some of it involves your 12-year-old boy, Tom Holland. But when that officially gets released online, I'm intrigued because I mean we got a really good quality one. The first one that leaked was like half the trailer, like half the screen, but then someone just did one properly from like a really good view. And you know, Disney tried the hardest to get rid of it, but it's still online. It's still going places, and they're never going to be able to hide that. But it looks like the Avengers are going to get what's coming to them. But it looked like it will be a good film as well if it's done right.
Yeah, I think Disney have said as well they don't know when they're going to release this officially. So a reaction video at the time will be very awkward for this because I have seen it, but I'm sure that I'm going to have exactly the same reaction that I did to it. It's fucking incredible. There are no other words to describe it. To see characters meet up for the first time, especially involving Guardians, that's all I'm going to leave it at. Was great, but the amount of characters that this film is going to have, not just part 1, part 2 together, but just part 1 on its own. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm sure they're going to find a way. I mean, they did in Civil War in that fight scene. Everyone got a chance to shine, so I'm sure this film will do the same. The poster that came out, I'm absolutely in love with. It's another character collage, but just to see all these characters and how far they've come after the 10 years with the sheer volume of characters that they do have all together lined up is really cool. The one thing that I did have, I don't even know if it's a problem. This is like such a slight thing, but the look of Thanos. I don't know how much I want to give away. He's bald-headed, essentially.
Looks like Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he does. He does. And I guess that Thanos was always bald underneath that helmet, but it's just weird because I've never seen Thanos without the helmet on. I'm sure there's been many occasions in the comics where he's removed the helmet and he is exactly as is depicted in this trailer. Nonetheless, it was very weird seeing that. Also, we've got a look at Black Widow, who has blonde hair now, and we have Captain America who's rocking like a sweet old man Logan beard, so that'll be awesome to see. It's an absolute cinematic achievement when this comes out. Say what you want about the Marvel films, whether they're cookie cutter, whether there's too many of them. I might even agree with you on those points, but seeing this trailer again, it did give you that sense that this is going to be something special. This has been something that's been building to for 10 years. We thought Avengers was big when that happened and just changed, like cinema changing when that came out. This is going to blow everything we've seen out the water.
Oh yeah, it's I mean I was saying before we hit record, I don't think to me this would be the closest thing in my life to Force Awakens in terms of an event. I mean, you very rare, it's an easy word to chuck around, but this is going to be one just off the build up, the characters, the amount of people that are going to turn up to go see it. And there's going to be 2 of them. That's the other thing everyone keeps forgetting. There's going to be 2 of these films, which I just cannot wait to see how that unfolds on screen. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
This is going to be one that you best make sure you book your tickets for within the first 10 minutes of them going on sale, because this is going to be packed.
Get it early, get it midnight. Do you think they'll do the whole England a week early? I don't think they will for this one. Not for this one. I'd love them to.
That's a really good question. Is it every Marvel movie? Like Spider-Man, did we get that early as well?
We got it 2 days. We got it 2 days early. Thor we're getting early. Don't know why.
I don't know why. Star Wars, you can kind of chalk up to it, mate. But yeah, Marvel's a strange one. If we do get it early, I think it will be just down to a day. I don't think they'll push it back. It won't be like a week or anything major like that. Star Wars is already strange enough. We've talked about the whole, when we get it days early, spoilers going up and everything like that, and it's a different shift. It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring it out at the same time, considering it's the big one. But if they don't do it with Star Wars, then they might just stick to what they've always done with the Marvel movies. Yeah. It'll be weird though if our local cinema, because before they've done the whole Marvel marathon, did they do like a phase 1 repeat, phase 2 repeat?
Yeah.
They do an event over a course of a week where they play all 22 movies and lead up to this.
Somewhere will.
Some will, some will. I won't be one of those people.
No.
I've seen them once. I've seen them. Yeah, and then as you said, there was nothing released on Sunday, so that's pretty much all of your Comic-Con news. Slightly underwhelming. Is there one bit of news or a trailer that won Comic-Con for you?
I'd say the trailer that won Comic-Con was Thor, but was there a real winner of Comic-Con? No, I think it was a very underwhelming. Normally, you've got major stuff going around. You'll get, directors doing this, people camping out overnight, and they probably did do that still, but there was nothing this year. I just think Thor had a pretty good trailer. Like, I guess with San Diego, you got to be there to experience everything. I mean, the calamity of getting the merchandise, just the event itself is, it's almost impossible to get tickets these days. But I thought, in terms of a news standpoint, very underwhelming. And the best bit was a leaked trailer online.
Yeah, I'm exactly there with you. We're going to have DC hate on this. I know we are. I'm just waiting for the inevitable hundreds of dislikes on the Justice League reaction that will go up right after this. But yeah, I'm in agreement. Thor was the best trailer for me. Infinity War trailer was incredible. So I'm sure anyone who was in that Marvel panel had the time of their life. But yeah, slightly underwhelming this year. But yeah, so passing back over to you to round off.
Yeah, that's been everything from our San Diego Comic-Con special. The normal news, I think, is happening tomorrow. I'm not going to be on it again because I am in London ready for Comic-Con, which you are coming to, which Tate is coming to as well. We're all going at different days. I'm there Thursday, you're then coming Friday, and Tate's coming Saturday, one each day. So I won't be here, but the news will be up tomorrow. It's going to be a very quiet one, I think. Again, not much has happened at all this week, so stick with that. We've got other stuff coming on the channel. I think Tate's got Film Club due on Friday. Tom is bringing back the Best Picture. I realized about a minute ago I didn't do Rockathon yesterday, which I needed to upload. So that's my bad, but we've got stuff coming out every day now. Do we have a review this weekend? No, we don't. We are in. Well, yeah, we're in a very. There's nothing basically out now for a couple.
I mistakenly said last night after the Game of Thrones review that I thought it was Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, but that's the following week.
Yeah, we've got it later.
We've got nothing this week, so we've got an empty slate for Sunday. So I'm sure we'll think of something to bring out.
Yeah, it's going to be. August is a very quiet month for cinema stuff. But why can I say to go watch Dunkirk with your IMAX? That's what I can say. But as usual, as Taylor say, hit the bell. You'll get the notification squad when we go online with streams, videos, all of that jazz. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do everything you need to do. Like I said, we're going to be back each day with some new stuff. Tomorrow we've got the news. Don't even know what the main headline is, to be fair. Maybe the Justice League reshoots. But yeah, this has been a very special episode of San Diego Comic-Con Roundup. Disappointing San Diego Comic-Con, to be fair. But yes, we will see you next time.